way down in Georgia, there lives a strange collection of people. But the tie that binds them is Wrestle Match. And they love to sit around and talk about it. And that's what they fixing to do. Georgia Wrestling History proudly presents the Wrestle Men of Whoopcast. We got Shane, Brian, Bill, and two Matts. We got a grandpa too, and old Foot and Shard. Yes, you know they finna get right. Here's the Wrestle Men. They talk about it, wrestling. Now that we got the bad stuff out of the way, I'm just going to sit back, say some stuff, and I'm going to let my man here go. The first half of this interview that you should have already watched by now. Oh, Matt Hankins, WrestleMan, Whoopcast, it's Brad Cash, part 2. We said we were going to talk about the darkness and the light. We talked about a lot of darkness. Towns Reed, get in here first, because the story is this time, bud, you cannot hear. Come on, let me open that Slim Jim for you while I'm doing my big intro. Come on.
Oh, man, has Jonathan Feltner ever told you about me trying to open a Slim Jim?
No, please tell the people why I'm doing this.
Oh, man, so I was starving, because it was only my second time ever down at the church. Mm-hmm. And the first time me and Dragon stopped and got, like, fucking Wendy's on the way down. We did not stop this time, so I'm starving. Because I'm coming from, like, another fucking state. So I'm hungry.
Well, and, every state's a different state than Cornelia, to be quite honest.
Right. And so we get there, and I message Cyrus, and I'm like, man, can you bring me some food? Because you're running late. Like normal.
As usual.
And,
fucking Gators are on.
And he's like, yeah, man. And he showed up, and he goes, hey, man, I didn't know what you wanted, so here's a Slim Jim. And I said, motherfucker, I said I was starving.
A Slim Jim.
Yeah, here's a Slim Jim. He goes, well, it's a long one. And I was like, well,
story of your life,
I can't fault you there. And I couldn't get it open. And I was so mad. So you remember like the fucking popsicles that you'd bite and like pull out?
Yeah.
I tried that with a Slim Jim. I ate the plastic and all. Feltner was having to go out and like announce. And he was like, no, tell him, hold on. I gotta see if this happens. He's like, Brad's going under to a Slim Jim. He's stopping the show to see if he can see the Slim Jim. I got it.
Be open.
I got it.
Well, now you know what you're in for.
Oh, it's a Macho Man figure. I thought that was Matt Sells for a minute.
I'm glad I didn't say something mean right then. Because something popped up just because, it's another, you mentioned a wrestler's name, so our first instinct is, let's say something mean about that guy. So we left last time. Very, very dark place. But we're not going to do as much of that this go around. The first half was for me. That's what I thought was interesting. That's a lot of stuff I wanted to find out about Brad, and he was pretty candid. He would not tell us what militia he wanted to join, but we definitely could tell that it was one of several possibilities from where he was. This 45 minutes or so is just going to be about telling stories. We're going to talk about people we like. We're going to laugh. We're going to have a good time. So I don't
know if there's 45 minutes worth of people.
Well, let's see. So Brad, because he's a consummate professional, sent me a long, well thought out list of things he wanted to talk about. I, because I'm Hankins, said, no, I can book this better. He immediately said, no, let's go do this thing where I try to make Brad cry. But we're going to get into some of that list right now.
Like anarchy all over again. This is what I'm doing, Rick. No, this is
what you're doing, bud.
Then Bill's like, just meet in the middle.
So, right off the bat, I do want to talk about some of the people that, you mentioned that you'd had really good matches with. Mm-hmm. And more than that, I think they're people that you just really like more than anything. So The first, I don't want to start with the first name on the list. I want to talk about Tank first. I want to talk about Tank. The first time I met Tank was at an Empire show. In fact, I think it was the last Empire show.
Okay.
And blah, 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 we're talking about something, and he had made a joke about Paul Lee, and I kind of seconded the joke, and Tank was cool with me right then. And Tank, just like Bird, were guys that I didn't know, I just knew of. And I knew they weren't guys that you fucked around with.
Right.
And so I was very happy to get a laugh out of Tank. I've since been around him a lot, never had a bad, like, just love being around him. Just really enjoy being around Tank. So what is it like, A, to work with that dude?
Well, it's fun. It's fun. You're going to take a beating.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. Because Tank is one of those people that can literally grab me, and whether I want to go or not, I'm fucking going.
You're going.
And Tank was my very first death match. And my second and third and fourth. Like, he was the only one I did them with for a while. Tank's actually a really good person, despite everybody he calls out on Facebook.
Well, that is the thing about Tank, though, is Tank says a lot of shit about a lot of people, and I don't doubt that he means it.
Right.
But the people are like, okay, all right. But that doesn't seem to come from a place of, I'm scared Tank's going to beat my ass. It's like, well, if Tank says I'm a shitbird, chances are I might be a shitbird.
Oh, man, I'm Prince shit.
But what is it like, though? Well, that's a dumb one. Let me strike that from the record. That was I did a bad interviewer move there. So Brad. But no, like, when you get over with a guy like that, what does that do for you as a performer?
What really built my confidence for a while. I mean, we're going to just start off with the sad shit. Right?
Oh, we're going to go.
Yeah,
Yes!
Yeah.
I did it! This is Hankins Booking. I make you think you're doing the thing you want to do, but it's the thing I want to do.
So around 2000, I forget the year, I want to say 2014, I was kind of done with wrestling.
Yeah.
I was bored, really, and I didn't see it going anywhere. I'd done some hardcore stuff at the time. Actually, the only reason I was even known as hardcore was by accident. I got hit in the head with a chair one night, and it split my skull open, like you could see.
Like you do.
And you could see skull.
Yeah.
And
so your thoughts?
I'd been told the whole time it was by Chase Stevens.
See, your thoughts got me.
Chase Stevens had told me not to sell everything that he was hitting me with. So naturally, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go sell this too. I had no idea what my head looked like. So, and that's the only reason I got into it. Is everybody's like, oh man, he no sold that chair shot. Had I fucking known that my skull was hanging out, I would have been
I'd have went home.
So fast forwarding, pretty sure Sarah's tired of me telling this story. I was done with wrestling, and I had a buddy named Nino Sparks. And he was known, like, few of the areas, we always called him Discount Homicide.
Is that Jay's brother?
Mm.
Okay, all right. Yeah. That gives me some frame of reference. Keep talking, I got you.
Anyways, he was good. He was good. It was like working homicide without working homicide.
Yeah.
He came up to me one day and he was like, yo, you know how to do this hardcore shit. And I was like, I mean, kind of, like chairs and stuff. He was like, but what I'm saying is, you're stupid. And I was like, I mean, yeah. Give or take. He's my co-star.
Just eases in, eases out.
Anyways, so Nino was like, I want to get into death matches. And I was like, at the time I didn't really understand what they were. Like to me, like hardcore was a mix of
Yeah.
And I knew there was like two matches.
And we kind of grew up like with ECW and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
the way that WWF did it. We kind of grew up on the TV friendly version of it. You know, we didn't, unless you were trading tapes or watching a lot of that
Right.
Onita stuff. You might have not known.
Yeah. And I had done some stuff, and I was a Cactus Jack fan, so I knew what death matches were, but I didn't know there was a whole category for it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was more extreme hardcore. And he was like, "Y'all want to do this?" And I was like, "Okay, like I'll do one. I'll see how it goes. I'll do one." And we had it booked and everything, and we had already set up the angle, everything. He was coming. We were actually meeting up at a friend's house that had a ring. We were just working on shit in the ring every single day and talking about stuff every single day. And I go over there one day and he's not there. Go the next day and he's not there. I get a call that he's in the hospital, like he's not responding, and we're like, okay, well, you know, I mean, he had kind of a substance issue, like he's gonna bounce back. It's fine. And I was driving, and I get a phone call, and then he didn't make it. And I just stopped like right in the middle of the street. And I mean, I hadn't known him as long as a lot of other people had, but I had seen him every day, and we talked. Basically, from the time I got up to the time I went to bed, just all day, just on the floor. And right after that, my granddad died, and I was just like fuck, I don't know what to do, you know. And what really sucked is I was actually supposed to. The night they did Nino's memorial show, I was supposed to go help my granddad with something. He was like, no, go do the show. Because it was for Nino's son. He's like, go do the show. He's like, you can come and help me later. And then it was like 3 days later, he died. So that was that. And I didn't know what to do. I was kind of beside myself for a little bit. And I got on Facebook. Which is what every grieving person.
Said a bunch of stuff about gay people.
Black gay. And no. So I get on there and I'm like, hey, my buddy wanted me to do death matches because he wanted to do them, and I would like to at least do one, or if nothing else, kind of follow his journey.
I got you.
And I get a comment on it. It goes, hell, I'll do one with you. And I look at it and I go, who the fuck is Warren Hollander? And what was funny is I'd heard of Tank. And I hadn't even seen Tank.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was his real name.
Who was? I heard his name was Tank. Like that dude, his mama should have named him Tank.
Oh man, don't let Sarah hear you say that. She got mad when I went down my wedding list and was telling her who everybody's real name was. I got cussed out.
I don't want to know.
I don't. If your real name isn't Tank, if it isn't Armageddon, I don't give a shit. I don't want to
Kayfabe,
know.
brother.
Who the fuck's real name is Armageddon?
Apparently yours. That's
This
what
is
your
about to
name
be,
is
this
today.
is about to be the
Armageddon.
Dark Interview 2.0 if you don't shut your fucking mouth.
Frank Armageddon.
That would have been better. Oh my God, Frank Sinatra next to the army. Where you don't sing because you're not allowed
You're
to
not
talk.
allowed. All right. Let me make a note.
Anyway, and I look it up and I'm like, oh, that's Tank. And so I'm like, yeah. I was like, if anybody will let us, I want to do this. And so we meet at Nino's show, and it's like this 10-man fucking dumb fucking scramble.
Of course.
Like 4 of the guys in it are good. The other 6 can eat a bag of dicks. You know what? I'm not going to get dark on this motherfucker. I'm not going to get dark.
We're going to have a slight chance later to get a little darkness, so let's save that.
Yeah. Anyways, me and Tank get in there, and nobody actually thought me and Tank were going to wrestle each other
Right.
that night. And because we get in the ring at one point in time, and it's the two of us, and there's a ton of people there, and everybody stands up. They're like, "Oh man, here they go!" And then Tank turns and tags out. So we finally get in. Everybody gets laid out, and it's just me and Tank, and everybody's looking at us. And I start taking the tape off my hand. And then he takes the tape off his hand, and we grab each other and start slugging it out. And then this motherfucker grabs my beard and starts headbutting me. And I'm just like, oh my God, what the fuck is this? This is a fucking car hitting my head 20 times. And then he goes, backdrop driver. And I don't even
know what the fuck that is.
I don't know what it is. I don't know how to take it. The next thing I know, I'm upside down. I'm like, this must be it. And he goes, no, sell it. So I do, because I mean, fuck if I don't. Fuck
He told me to do it.
So we meet there, and then we do this death match, which compared to now was super tame.
Tame, yeah.
It was super tame. And by tame, I mean I got my face curb stomped into thumbtacks.
Naturally.
That was tame. Compared to now, that was tame. But he took care of me. I was nervous, and I was hyper emotional, and he took care of me, and he ad-libbed like this whole finish, and put me over to the crowd, and I mean, I didn't know what he thought of me, and he sends me this message like 3 days later. He asked me if I'm okay, because I mean, I'm always very proud of my scars, and I had this giant knot going across my head where he headbutted me in that match. He was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, man, I was just putting over the headbutts because they were real. And he goes, yeah. And he was like, it's time for a new badass motherfucker in this, and I think that's you. Later, I reminded him he said that.
Because good shit.
He was like, oh, Brad's a shitbird. And I screenshotted that message and posted it on his wall, and he goes, well, goddamn.
But no, man, that's one of those things you can't plan, and it'll stick with you better than none of us make enough payday for it to matter. But more than the house being full of main event, any of that shit that people would think look from the outside in that would get you. No, it's that kind of stuff, man. It's when a guy that knows what he's talking about tells you that, hey, you can do this. Yeah. You'll get another 5 years in the business out of it. You can ride off that, because that is, not to get dark again, but that is one of those things that gets everybody. And I'm always shocked to find the guys who it gets, because guys that are great, they're always good, they're always solid. You catch them in an off moment, they're like, man, I might be shit at this. Yeah. That's a big one. All right, well, let's keep it rolling before we get in the doldrums too. We've been drinking. I almost went with gin, but that would have turned us into two crying old women.
Oh man,
just that.
Let me tell you, my old drink was gin.
Yeah, I almost did it.
You probably would have got touched.
So that's what gin does to you.
Yeah.
Another motherfucker that I think a lot of that's really good, and we better enjoy seeing him while we can here locally, because it can't be too long before there's too much money in the business and there's too many hours of TV to fill for Logan Creed not to get out of here soon enough. To keep this at a R rating, we will just talk about Logan as a wrestler and your history of Logan as a wrestler. Okay. If I remember right, which one of you proposed that y'all did a death match?
Actually, it was Logan.
Because why not?
The one at Anarchy was actually our second death.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
The first time, we were on a road trip, which you said keep it. I'm only going to tell you about the last day.
I know everything from that road trip. And I know you also are getting married soon, so I don't want to fuck that up for you.
I just want to say at that club, I ended up in the hip hop section. As it was called. Actually, the prequel, I will tell the prequel without going into detail with everything else, but as me and Logan were trying to find somewhere to hang out that night, we're in Alabama,
Roll
the
Tide.
home of pterodactyls. And,
Talladega, if I remember the story right.
we were fucking somewhere. And I stopped listening to the GPS an hour before that. And we see this barn nightclub thing. And
Alabama.
we go into this gas station, and this old woman, we're like, Logan's like, what can you tell us about this? I'm already drunk.
Yeah, well, nah, I mean, you're bright cash. You're already drunk.
And Logan's sitting there talking to her, and he's like, what can you tell us? Oh, y'all don't want to go there. And he goes, why? And she goes, well, they had a shooting there last week, so my ears perked up. And then
sounds like my kind of joke.
and Logan's like, oh man, I'm cool. And then she's like, well, there's a lot of colored people there.
So now your both ears are perked up.
And now my second ear is perking. And then he goes, what do you mean? And she goes, well, there's a lot of colored women there. And I just slam my hand down on the thing and I go, we're going. So, that woman made them money that night.
She did. She talked you into the building.
She did. We also, I also want you to know I picked our hotel that night because it was called the Lincoln Inn, and I was like, social justice.
It's all right here for us.
And so third day, now we're skipping because I don't remember much of it anyway. We skip to the third day, and we get there, and my opponent doesn't show up, and I'm pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was all the way in Jersey, and I'm like, Logan, it's a death match, and he goes, oh yeah, man, I'll do it. And he's like, I just like to get my feet dirty once.
Said Logan Creed to everything he's ever been asked.
Yeah, and no joke. And so we do one, and Logan is used to like, your Cold of Cash, Brad Cash Dark, Erie, blah blah blah. He had never met Babyface.
Fun
in
time,
New
Logan,
Jersey.
gonna cut the shit out of everything.
There's one part Logan's like, you want to trade? And I'm like, yeah. And we're out on the floor, and Logan's like, all right, big form. And then I'm like, punch in the face. And Logan's like, God damn, Brad, fuck. And, but man, he took everything like a champ. We got cussed out for like 3 hours by Rick. After that, Rick was like, you're a fucking heavyweight champion getting your arm cut off and all that. And he's like, well, Brad was in it too. And he's like, fuck Brad.
That's the shit he does.
That's what he fucking does. I'm going to suspend the both of you next week. And Logan's like, we're not going to be there. And so, there was that. But Logan's a good dude. When we first met, we didn't actually talk a lot. Because, my co-star. And we didn't actually talk a lot. And it wasn't until...
That's an important resource for my interviewing skill. It's a marker board laid on the floor.
Yeah, boy, this is scripted. It's all fake. But we just didn't really talk. We never really got a chance to. And then we were at one of the SCI Rumbles or some shit. And I walk in the locker room, and Logan and Bill the Butcher are sitting there.
Well, that is a weird thing that shows will do, is if you're on a show with a guy all the time that's your show, you've got your guys, he's got his guys, and that's, we're not standing off from each other, but we come and we talk to our guys. But if you ever get in a place where you're the only ones there you pile up real damn quick.
It's either total silence or you're gonna talk.
You're gonna be best friends.
And me and Bill were already friends, and Bill was like, oh, Brad, you should tell Logan this story.
Which Bill the Butcher is the secretary of this podcast. If there's ever something we need to be moved in a direction we need to remember, Butcher's always going to be there to let us remember.
So I tell Logan about 3 stories, and then Cabana Man Dan walks in, suit and tie. And all he hears is, and then I came on it and left. And without missing a beat, while Logan and Bill are sitting there trying to hold it in, Nan looks at me and goes, you must be Brad Cash. And me and Logan have been friends ever since.
And so I couldn't believe how long it took you to get to PCW, given how black the roster is. That's sort of your jam.
I didn't think you needed another black guy.
Well, that's true. We were full up, but I can always make an exception. You got to work Bill down there.
I did.
And, you really made an impression, as it were. Tell us about that.
So me and Bill were originally supposed to work at Anarchy while it was Why We Wrestle.
Yeah.
Wires got crossed. It didn't happen. Shit happens. So,
And it certainly was not from wanting to book Brad. It just, shit gets weird, Sometimes your schedules just can't line up.
Well, I remember we were at the one tag tournament thing.
Yeah.
And me and you had spoke before, and we were there, and that's when I accidentally knocked the fuck out of Torque. And it was like you and Bill and Brian and somebody else. And I come over there, and you're like, oh man, you're coming down and you're working Bill. And I was like, okay. And I look at you, and it was a super calm conversation. And then out of nowhere, I go, did you see that fucking forearm? And, this is bad written.
It's all over. It's all over.
Oh my God. And it's going to be her. Ladies and gentlemen, my co-star.
He points and walks by.
I'm sorry.
Go to that door.
No more basketball, but
Not bad.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, I think
We'll
that's
play
okay.
catch in a minute.
As she rolled.
I was just. Oh, I didn't throw.
Mom of 3.
Which been quite
Anyway. That was a close save.
All right, look, you got to go. Clear the room. You got to clear the room. Yeah, just right there. It's fine.
And I worked Bill, and I came down that night, and we were setting up for the fucking outside show.
Yeah.
And I remember, because we were only match advertised, blah, 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 and then you get there and you're like, I'm going to do something different.
What?
I'm going to put main event on first.
What? I would do something crazy like that.
And I was like, well, okay then. That was my second time there. First time there, I was not in the right state of mind because of someone that was brought up in the first segment. Anyways, but this time I was ready. I was ready to have fun this time.
That's all we ever were.
And this is me and Bill, and you would think it's gonna be super serious, and it was. Like there was a lot of ass whooping in that. And we get to the end, and Bill's got that chain, and I start trying to get it, and then Grandpa was like, "Oh no!" And I got Grandpa turned around, throw the chain to Bill, I clap my hands, and I fall on Grandpa. But as I always do, I grab on him as I'm going down.
And them skinny jeans.
And Grandpa DQs him, and Bill's, like, you faked it. I'm laying there seizing for no reason. There's not a fucking person paying attention to me.
No.
And I'm seizing for my own
enjoyment. Yours and mine.
For my own enjoyment, I'm seizing, I'm convulsing. As as Bill and Grandpa are arguing, I'm playing some war with myself and losing. And that was how we handled Platinum.
Typical PCW.
And then the outside show, the July 4th thing, where they told me I couldn't take that bottle of vodka outside, so I chugged the entire bottle of vodka and poured water in it so we could go out there.
So we could go do the thing.
And now let me tell you, it was a horrible idea to chug it. I should have just fucking poured it out.
Man, you don't want to waste it.
I mean,
The people they still remember the gusset plates though. Like that spot got over like gangbusters because they'd never seen it.
it did.
We did a lot of shit out there. We didn't do a lot of deathmatch stuff, and so anytime we sort of tiptoed up to that line, those motherfuckers, they had a bloodlust, man.
They did. Oh man! Speaking of which, has Bill ever told you about the stable?
No, I don't think he has.
It's probably because Bill doesn't want to sound like a little bitch. But I don't like to sound like a little bitch right here. So, I told Bill, because I assume anybody that watches this is smart, and if not,
then welcome to an education.
then fuck you. I told Bill, I said, I only got 5 staples in it. So I'm gonna shoot it off. I'm gonna shoot it off 5 times, and then I'm gonna put it between your legs. I'm gonna pull the trigger. And Bill's like, okay. What Bill doesn't know is, as I walked to the ring, I shot it twice. So Bill comes out, and we get to the staple gun spot, and I shoot it 3 times. And I couldn't look at him while I was doing it because I was laughing. I shoot it 3 times. I walk up and I put it right in the twins' plate. And Bill's going, there's only 3. There's only 3. But damn, if he wasn't about to take that like a champ.
Like a fucking G, man.
And I pull the trigger and I just start
He'd have
laughing.
dealt with you later.
Oh man.
But he was going to take it like a champ right then.
He sold it and I'm laughing. He goes, oh, you're a dick. You're
That's my guy. Well, all right. So for the longest time, well, actually, we did an episode of this podcast where we recasted Pulp Fiction, and it was you and William Huckabee as the lead roles in Pulp Fiction, because this was right during the time where you were just being relentless to Huck on Facebook. I mean, you were just giving him the blues every day. What is the relationship with you and Huckabee?
I mean, outside of me being better than him, I'm
Well.
at everything. No, Huck and me. So I did do that to piss him off all the time. that was all like 100, like straight 100%. And ladies and gentlemen, my co-star. Slim Jim's a devil. That's exactly what happened in that Felder story.
That's appropriate. Very appropriate for this section of the show.
But me and Huck, we met at a NWA Smoky Mountain tryout.
Okay.
Back when they were worth a fuck.
Yeah. I remember that tryout. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
years ago, before their promoter turned into a dumbass. What's he gonna do? Not book me?
You're right. So you're going to do not book me?
Oh man, he already has his black quote there. Tell me he doesn't like that black guy. So anyways, we're there, and we're going. There was some pretty decent guys at this tryout, but we can see I have not done cardio drills in a while. We'll put it that way. And Huck comes up to me, and he was the only guy that was like, hey man, it looks better when a big guy does it.
Yeah.
Like, he was encouraging. And we were neck and neck on everything, promos and everything. And they were going to choose who was going to be, on the roster that night, and who was going to be on, we'll say, B show.
Yeah.
They picked Will, and they picked me for B show. And, Will was really cool about it. And then the next day was like, that's right, Brad. That's right. Who got picked?
I can
And
hear him now.
I was like, well, you ugly ass motherfucker. And he still says he's better looking than me. Now, granted, his lifestyle.
He's living the life. He's living
the
a life.
He's living the life. But goddamn if he ain't ugly. But no, I can honestly say I chose Will for my last match. We'll say my last match as far as like
the
active
active
wrestling.
Yeah, there might be an epilogue. Well, there will be. There will be an epilogue.
There'll be an epilogue eventually. But as far as career, say, I chose Will for my last match. I always knew it was going to be Will.
Yep.
And especially after Tank retired.
Yeah. And then he came back.
Yeah. He's on his epilogue. And he's on part 2.
He is on part 2 of his epilogue.
And I can honestly say that was one of my all-time best matches. It only involved 2 chairs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was some wrestling in it.
Was there a spot where you just belly bumped a guy for a while and slapped your thighs? Did that happen? Fucking ridiculous. So Brad and I, we got to. So was that the only time you and Shane had worked?
Yep.
Wow.
Except in like a rumble.
Yeah, somewhere in the thing. But toward the end of Brad's active career, he asked us to come up to, I don't know, bumfuck. All parts of Tennessee are bumfuck to me.
Wartburg. Let me tell you, I am too black for Wartburg.
So Shane and I go to Burlington work with Brad, and you know, as things often go, I got overzealous. I interfered in the match, and Brad wasn't here for that. And at some point, we just start umpire fighting at ringside, and it involves both of us just bumping bellies and slapping our thighs like real high class indie workers. And it was a hell of a spot.
It was. I laughed.
I certainly did too.
That match was fun.
It was a good, and like that is, to put my guy over, that is the genius of Shane Marks. That he can be this incredible, proficient performer as a technical wrestler, like can do most anything, but loves to get his hands in the dirt, and just the sillier you can make it, the happier he is. And all right, we're up here, we're like semi-main or something. It's supposed to be this serious confrontation. Nah, let's just do foolishness.
I mean, I'm pretty sure every actual move we did was someone else's.
Yeah, and there was 2 bumps.
Yeah,
whole match. But it was just all this crazy foolishness. But I bet you the people went away remembering it.
Oh man, it made my best of DVD.
And especially with you, who is Blood and Guts Brad Cash. That's the initial thing that people think about. Is, Brad's going to do the hardcore stuff, and he's going to bleed, and he's mean, and he's Kevin Sullivan, and he's the devil. But when you turn him loose, when left to your own recognizance, it's probably going to be, let's go do some silliness.
Yes.
Do you struggle? Not struggle, that's the wrong word. Do you, because you've done all the other stuff, does doing silliness, do you find it a bit more rewarding just to prove you can do it?
Yeah. I like doing silliness, especially when I'm not on TV.
Yeah. When you're fucking Wartburg.
Yeah. Silliness is good. I also will get really technical at times when I can. Me and Slim J, when we did our overly technical match, and I got to the back, and Rick was like, "Where the fuck's that been?" And I was like, "Where the fuck has it been booked?" He was like, "Okay."
Well, that reminds me of another person I have on my list who oftentimes, is booked to wrestle a certain kind of way, and is sort of pigeonholed by his own admission sometimes, who just wants to go out and be technical as shit and do all the moves, is one Jeter. You and Jeter have a very interesting relationship, as most of us do with Jeter. He is a complex man.
Hold on, let me get ready for this. So, Jeter, I don't think I've ever gotten on someone's nerves as bad as I have Jeter's, and we've only wrestled one match.
What was that? Where was that at?
It was at Landmark, and it was in a feud that I was in with Elijah Evans, and they were trying to make your group without the focal point of you.
Right.
You can't make that group without you. And so it was a 6-man. It was me. Izzy, who had a fucked up knee.
That's a mash unit.
7. And Dan was with us, who was wanting to take time off. And again,
everybody had their bags packed and at the door.
Yeah, except me. And then they're like, okay, so Izzy's going to get fucked out. 7's going to get fucked out. Dan doesn't wrestle. So it's essentially going to be Brad versus Brian, Jeter, and Elijah. Get in there with Brian, forms me. Get in there with Elijah, forms me. Get in there with Jeter, I'm going to give you a splash. And if I didn't shit myself. Not only that, but I was tough at the time. So I'm in the corner. Brian chops me. I no sell it. Fuck you. Elijah chops me. I no sell it. Fuck you. Jeter chops me. I go to no sell it. And I drop.
Yeah. Hurts like a son of a bitch.
Oh, God. Oh, man, that hand is bigger than my chest.
Yeah.
But actually, enough about Jeter wrestling.
Yeah, who cares?
Brad and Jeter as the cognitive unit in the locker room.
It's this incredible dichotomy.
It's actually your fault because as
Most
you
things
remember,
are.
we did the racial draft.
Yep.
In the locker room, and you had first round draft pick. You could pick anyone to be African American, and you picked me, which I was fine with. Jeter was not. Don't you pull him over. Don't you pull Brad over on this side. And from that day forward, anytime I got a chance to, when I made the fake rap album, which was a rib, and everybody thought it was legit.
Look at that solo
Jeter
video.
got so mad.
As he often does.
Especially when I started commenting about Popeye's chicken. He said, "Don't you dare talk shit about Popeye's, Brad." And it was everywhere we went, I always had something to say. Yeah. And even when I wasn't there. Now we go into a story you're familiar with. I was sitting at home, we'll say on that gin and juice with some added sugars.
Sure.
And legal. We'll say that, legal. And I'm watching Wonder Woman, and I see something fly by my window. And I message you, and I message Jeter, and I message Dragon. Dragon completely ignored me.
I can't be involved.
Yeah,
in
he's like, God damn it, Brad's messaging me at 2 a.m. with some bullshit. He's probably up playing fucking Skyrim again. And but you and Jeter responded, and as I said, guys, there's a dragon outside my house. It's about to burn down Knoxville. And this was way before that happened on Game of Thrones.
Right. This was out of, and it was very late, and it was out of, because Brad's not a guy who messages you all the time. It's not like, you know.
No, half the time I never message.
Right.
And, except, unless I have a conversation I want to get into, there's a lot of people that are like, why don't you message me back? And I was like,
I was doing stuff.
Yeah. And, so I messaged you, and you were like, Brad, just be careful. I was like, I'm gonna go fight this dragon. I'm gonna save Knoxville.
Whatever you gotta do, bud. Just
I think that's exactly what you said. I was like, I got an axe, I got a bulletproof vest, and I got a pistol. Jeter is like, why do you have those? Brad, why do you think there is a dragon outside of your... And this is how I imagine him talking.
It is how he's talking.
And I message him back and I go, it's Knoxville, it's rough. And then I get capitalized letters, Brad, don't you go outside.
Don't take your ass outside.
You just stay in that house. you stay in that house. Meanwhile, this man's mom threatened to shoot me 2 weeks before. And nice lady. And
does keep a gun.
She does keep a gun. That purse. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. Tell everybody I love them. Tell everybody I love them. Not you. Just tell everybody else. And I don't think I made it out of bed.
No, that's good.
To be completely honest.
That's good.
I don't think I fought a dragon.
We can never know.
I mean, if I did a good job of hiding.
That is the miracle of Jeter. Is like you said, you can, and I do it too. He's so easy to pick at because he'll dance with you. He will dance with you. But if you ever act like you got a real problem, he's here to save. And he tells us stories all the time of all the messages he gets from people who are having, like he's the sounding board. Because I guess everybody knows that the rest of us are batshit crazy.
Yes.
But he is the dude who has it pretty well together.
Yeah.
It's him and Shane. Like, those are the dudes that you could go to in our clique that, like, all right, if I need to actually discuss something for real, I have to preface it first by, hey, we're going to have a serious discussion now. Because our instinct is, let's be silly and crazy. But yeah, that dude will always do that.
One quick thing about Jeter is when I was going through a lot of my issues, one person I honestly, I forget to give credit to, is Jeter. Because this is a guy that he didn't know me.
No.
You know, I mean, he knew me as Brad Cash. He knew I was going to say dumb shit every time I was around. But he would message me and ask me if I was okay.
He'll
he
check
would
in
check
with
on
you.
me. And even one night at a show, I was there and I was not in my. I was not on the level, we'll say. You could tell.
Yeah.
I was looking at my eyes at the time. And I remember he put his hand on my shoulder, which putting his hand on your shoulder means he's also touching your chest.
When you get a hand on your shoulder.
And he just pulled me in and he was like, you know, it's good. It's all good. You know. So I always loved you for that.
And that gets us, man, somehow we've gotten already to 45 minutes. So I want to make sure that we get this in because I know this is important. As we mentioned, there was a person on the last episode who I'd hid my whiskey from. And that is a person who in our group, she's the only woman in our group. She's the youngest, so it's the biggest gap between.
Is she the youngest?
Black don't crack, so I can't tell you. But she also, you know, her view of the world is very different than ours, and she's just easy to fight with. She loves to fuss and fight with you, but that is Nina Monet, and you and Nina were in a tag team.
Yeah.
You jokers came up with an incredible name. I pride myself on being really good at naming things.
I'm very glad now that we didn't go with the original name, because originally it was going to be the Black Witch Project.
I don't hate that either.
I know.
But
I know.
we're in the locker room like, what do you guys want to be called? Black Steak Monet. I'm like, done and done. You'll get nothing else from me. Like, you kids have got it. But look, if you know Nina, she is just a lovable scamp. Just the salt of the earth. You never know what you're going to get from her. Like, she is every part. Like, her thing on WoW, her gimmick.
Yeah.
That is straight up the truth because she is some sort of voodoo queen. Like,
Yeah.
she takes on all forms, and you never can be prepared for an interaction with Nina.
Oh man, one guarantee is you'll have a headache if it's too long.
Yes. You're going to do a lot of deciphering. You're going to fight through it, but she was really there for you at a time where you absolutely needed her. Tell us about that.
Okay, so as we didn't circle back to on the last episode, last part one of all this. I'd gotten in a really dark place, and as I said, it was a combination of a lot of things. Stress, money. I mean, like, I had just been like the WWE. You know, this is my dream. Like,
Yeah.
I'd always wanted to go, and I got to. And I did a little bit with NXT. And so, you know, you would think I'm on a pretty good place, but away from everything, I was not.
Yep. And as often is how it goes. You get the thing you want, but you're never in position in life to be able to appreciate it.
I was just done. I was pretty much done with everything. I had this mindset that the only thing that mattered was Brad Cash.
Yeah. And not you, the dude.
Yeah.
The gimmick.
Not Brad Kirkland.
Yeah.
But Brad Cash was what mattered. Brad Kirkland didn't. I was also on this thing where I think it was right after Hardcore Hell. I think it was after that that year where I'd been on this really huge high.
And y'all, I mean,
And
you'd been on a run, man. You had been on an absolute run.
And I would get this huge high because I was super over at IWA. I was super over, you know, at up north. I was over everywhere I went. But when I would get home and be back to normal, I dropped. Because nobody gave a shit when I was in Brad Cash. And I just remember one night I was trying to find a reason to not do something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And I texted, we'll say toxic person.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, I'm having a really rough night. And the only thing that looks good right now is shooting myself in the head. I don't get a reply. Well, actually, I did get a reply. Her reply said, "Don't do that." And then I get a message from the same person that was not intended for me. And it said, "I wish he would just fucking do it. He's annoying.
Holy
this bullshit
shit.
is dragged out far too long. At least we're not together because people would just blame me if he did. And I wish he would just do it so I didn't have to worry about it anymore." And that was all I needed. And I sat in my room for like 10 hours. I would pick the gun up and put it in my mouth and set it back down. Pick it up, put it in my mouth, set it back down. I ended up having, having to go to counseling, having to do all this shit. And I still couldn't get it out of my head. Like, I still was like, man, I should have just done it.
Just going through the motions
Yeah,
of,
and,
I'm going to get better. But
and,
all the while, still, I think I know what the right decision is, and I just hadn't done it yet.
And I hadn't planned on it. I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And I get this random ass message out of left field. And it was from Nina.
That's everything from Nina is out of left field.
And she said, "Hey, do you mind if I catch a ride to the show?" I wasn't even on, but I was like, "Fuck it."
Of course, Nina asked you for a ride to a show. You weren't on.
I was like, man, what else I gotta do?
It saved your fucking life.
And I was like, okay. And then I was like, when this bitch leaves,
I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it. But I gotta make sure she gets to her show.
Fucking wrestling, right?
Yeah.
I be wrestling.
And so I'm super depressed. And me, her, and my buddy, we go up to the show. It's an all women show, and I have a pretty decent time on there. We come back down, and the whole ride back, she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. Are you okay?" It's like, "I'm fucking good." Which is obviously not a sign that I'm not. If I'm getting angry, then you're asking me if I'm okay. I'm obviously not. And she's like, "Well, I can't catch a bus. Can I stay?" And I was like, "Yeah." Well, she noticed that I'm staying up. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I have no thought, and I'm mad. Like, I'm like, fuck, I want everybody out of my house so I can blow my fucking brains out without someone being here, because I don't want somebody to see it. And then she came up and just started talking to me, and she was like, "Look, I don't have anywhere to be for like a few days. Do you mind if I just crash here for a few days?" And I was like, "God damn it.
Would you leave so I can die?"
Yeah, I'm like, this is it. Which it's not funny, but it is, because it's like, God, this bitch won't stop pestering me.
I just want to die.
I'm trying to fucking die already. And she stayed, and then I broke down, and I just started crying. Probably the second day that she was there. And if this little bitch didn't sit there and talk to me for like 3 days, we ended up having another show we had to go do. And I might as well just fucking stay. And
I got it. I guess I won't die.
And so I went to counseling, and she really talked me through it. Like, because she had issues at the time, and it really helped me. And I can honestly say, if Nina hadn't been fucking Nina and needed a goddamn ride, I probably would be here.
Well, we're not going to top that, Brad. But I'll say this. A lot of the reason I wanted to do this was because Brad's my friend and he asked me. And if a friend asks you to do something, you just fucking do it. But I knew some of these stories, and I thought that they would be important for other people to hear because, quite frankly, we don't know what anybody's going through. And there probably is a Nina in your life, and God help you. I'm sorry, but you never know who might be the one that saves you. And I'll leave us with this. I love the Drive-By Truckers. They're from my hometown, Sabada, but there is a lyric that Patterson Hood wrote that says, "The secret to a happy ending is knowing when to roll the credits." Brad Cash rolled the credits on his active wrestling career, and I think he made the right decision. And now, and I remember talking to you saying, well, just be careful, son. Make sure you want out. You don't have to call it retirement. Just say you're stepping away. And he stepped away, found a good woman. He's getting married. And if you're not invited to that wedding, I'm sorry for you. It is going to be a hell of a time. And it also reminds me of another Patterson Hood lyric. And that lyric is, I can't die now because I got another show to do. And I got another show to do. And I will catch you on that one. See me wherever I am. See all the WrestleMen wherever they are. Brad Cash, the epilogue will not be long in coming. Thank you for sitting with us. This has been the WrestleMen Present a Whoopcast.